I went to the Pursuit of Truth. Just want to hear a little bit of this, and I'll say something about it.
Includes the Sun and the Times.
We feel that the large billionaire press in the United Kingdom is complacent about climate action. Many of them are opposed to many aspects of climate action, and we feel the complacency is a threat to Britain.
That the movement is navigating a thin line between generating awareness and alienating the people they're trying to influence.
In general, too many of our newspapers are ignored.
Right, that's the bit I want to get at. There, that sentence that the news reporter said about the thin line between alienating the people. Now, the people is all of us. So what research did she do to be able to ascertain the truth of that statement? And that's the thing, that's the clever thing that the media can do. That's what I want to illustrate now. I'm not talking about climate change or anything like that. They do this many, many times. And even politicians do this as well. When they talk about the people want this or the people don't want that. Whereas they have no consensus of what the people want. Because no one's asked 60, 70 million people, what is your view on this? They haven't even asked 1% of those people. So how do they know what the people want or do not want? It is what you should believe. They're putting that statement across, and then when you hear it, you think, okay, I must think like that as well, because that's what the people think like. And I don't want to be against the people, because then I'd be a radical. And obviously we've been taught through media, through lots of films and TV and etc., that being radical is a really bad thing. You should never think anything opposite than what you're told or what you're brought up to believe in is in the truth and the news. So that's what the point I just wanted to bring across, that aspect of, well, it's lying, it's manipulation, but we don't see it like that. And I suppose if I put this to this journalist, they would say, no, I'm just saying that the people, this is general people's view. I've spoken to a few people and this is what they've said to me, and so that's what I mean. You've spoken to a few people, and that's how you can refer to everyone, because the people means everyone. They're allowed to be grammatically incorrect, and it's not called a lie, and it's not called deception, whereas really that is exactly what it is. It's not an accident that they use the term the people. It's a mind control technique, really, to get you to be able to agree upon it without you even knowing. Anyway, I thought I'd bring that to your attention because it just came there, and I just wanted an example of it and how it's done, and how the way that we are taught to speak and the way that we're taught to believe by words that are used, and the importance of the accuracy and the honesty and truthfulness of how we use words. And this leads me to another thing that I was listening to the other day, how now they're talking about the poisoning of the opposition in Russia. I can't remember his name, I do apologise. I'm sure you've all seen the story. If not, you can Google that. I did put a link on the last Pursuit about that story, if you're listening to this historically. But the interesting thing is the way now they're talking about that now they claim that they use Novichok, obviously Novichok, because that's the one we all know. If they come up with a different name, then we wouldn't have known that one, because Novichok was apparently used in Salisbury. And what they're talking about now is that there should be action against Russia, against Putin for doing this. And what's interesting about this is the fact of, where is the evidence? Do we not need evidence anymore? When we're talking about a country, do we not need evidence that we have evidence so that we can say that this is the person who committed that act? Or we're just going to say, okay, because he was opposition to Putin, that gives, or Russia, that gives them the highest motive, so it must have been them. So let's forget about the idea of what's the concept of the criminal process of a man being innocent until proven guilty, proven being or proven, whichever way is the proper pronunciation, of being the important part of that sentence, of actually having evidence. Let's not wait for the evidence. Let's just assume that it was Putin that did it, that gave the order. I mean, it just makes a mockery of the whole system, and it shows up, really, the fact that the West will say these things without any due process. I mean, yeah, maybe it was him. I don't know. But the fact is, I think it's very, very important in any case that there's always evidence before you start throwing around accusations. Because if we look at the way that the West uses Russia and China and the Middle East and etc. as their enemy, and as you know, whenever anything goes wrong, it's easy just to point them and say they did it. Let's go bomb them, like they did in Iraq and Afghanistan. These are human beings just like us. There's no difference between them. It's just you've been taught to believe that there is a difference between them, because they come from a different piece of land that's given a different name than the one that you're within. Don't be so stupid to realise that, and to think that you need evidence in any crime. Or if that's the case, if we can just say that, okay, this guy was poisoned, you know, we found it as Novichok, and okay, who produces Novichok? Oh, it's the Russians. Wait a minute, doesn't Porton Down have near Salisbury Novichok samples? Are you telling me that it's impossible for the Americans, for the British, for the Europeans to make that same chemical, or even to have bits of it? Of course it's easy to do. It's like saying Smith & Wesson is an American gun. So I think if we're gonna get rid of the criminal process, then whenever anyone does a crime, we'll just pick the nearest person and say, well, you did it. Don't worry about evidence, you did it. And we'll put it on the media. And a journalist who's meant to look at the story and actually make sure they have good sources will just say whatever they want, whatever comes to their mind. That's how we live. Should we really be living that way? Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.